A to the K.
A to the K.
A to the K. Hello, welcome to the A2theK Wrestling Show. We are here to talk about AEW Revolution. We're going to give our reactions and talk through all the results from what was a pretty damn good show, if I do say so myself, Anthony. What do you think? Enjoy it?
I agree. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Let's be honest, if we're being super critical, and we'll go through them, there were a couple of predictable moments.
Yes.
Or matches, let's say. But for the most, thoroughly enjoyed. Really good pay-per-view.
Indeed. And a couple of unpredictable moments as well, which obviously we'll get into and we'll cover them off. So let's kick off by talking about the buy-in. So the first match of the night on the buy-in was legit Leyla Hirsch taking on Little Boop herself, Kris Statlander. Now, in the prediction series, I went for Leyla Hirsch on this, and you went for Kris Statlander, I believe.
I'm not happy with the match just because I lost. I don't know if it's just on the prediction series, but I know where to be seen. And
yeah.
People like Kris Statlander have caused that.
To be fair. But no, it was a really good showing from Leyla Hirsch. I think she's got bags of talent, and this might be a highest profile win, I think, to date. So it's good that they are. It's an interesting one because like she's got such a small frame. I think she's only like 5 foot or something like that. But obviously she's got a lot of power as well. So I think she wouldn't normally, they wouldn't normally give her 2 looks kind of thing, but a second look even. But yeah, I think she's got something, and I don't know whether that's going to lead to titles down the line or anything like that, but she certainly should be, within the mix and kind of getting herself up the rankings. And I think a win over someone like Statlander, who is a original and is, being within that mix herself, can only help to kind of cement the legitimateness of legit Leyla Hirsch. So, yeah, enjoyed a nice little match to kick things off. We then got, obviously, we got to see Hook. You know how much I love Hook. And this was a really good. I am his hooker. But this is the first kind of, I wouldn't say first test that he's had, but essentially like the storyline was there. Obviously, Hook is a former student of QT's, and the stuff's been going on for weeks, and now they finally get the chance to have that match. And yeah, Hook was Hook, and he beat the shit out of him, much as you expect, and fair play to QT for putting him over in that way. And the match itself was good. The finish was inventive. It wasn't just the usual, like, oh, I'm going to, hit you with my forearm a few times and then put the red rum on you. It was like, the students outwitting the master, essentially, to get the red rum on him. So,
I think it's probably been the most entertaining QT martial match I've seen.
I mean, it's not hard, to be fair, because a lot of them have sucked. But yeah, I enjoyed it. It was decent pacing, the right length of time as well. It's not so short that it gives any concerns that Hook hasn't got the credentials kind of thing. Like, he certainly has, but it's the short enough to leave you wanting more, I think, and it's always a good thing.
But you always want more.
I always want more of the Hook. Always. I'm hooked on Hook. And so the final match of the buy-in was House of Black taking on Pac, Penta, and the... they haven't really said he's all elite, have they? But he's there. Erik Redbeard was there for a bit. Because, essentially...
So it's the House of Black versus the House of Pac?
Yeah, basically. Yeah. I think, essentially, it must have been Ray Phoenix was going to be the one scheduled for this match. And obviously, with him being out for injury... they were just like, who can we get? I know, we'll get Redbeard.
They saw Erik walking past the building and were like, hey.
Exactly. No, I just happened to be here.
With his mechanical spider for some reason. Don't have that thing.
But I think essentially what it did is it had a good... I'm a big fan of mirror matches, and it kind of... The juxtaposition between the two teams...
all fancy words.
Look at that. I don't know what it means, because I'm about to say the wrong thing. I think I used it in the wrong way. But essentially, what I'm trying to say is, having Erik Redbeard brought in is a nice kind of matchup against Brody King, and then you've obviously got Buddy Matthews coming into the mix, and obviously he lines up nicely with the likes of Pac, for example, and then obviously you got Malachi who lines up nicely with Penta as well. So yeah, it was good.
Okay, you're just touting a good parallel match. You love parallels.
That's it. But it was evenly matched, and I think unfortunately Erik Redbeard was there to eat the pin. Unfortunately, kind of why they brought him in.
You want to be all elite, don't you?
But yeah, it's interesting now. Like, where does House of Black go next? Like, are they going to recruit any more? We still haven't got the culmination of the Julia Hart thing. Like, have they given up on that now? Are they going to bring her in? How's that all going to play out? I do too. I think I like the cheerleader thing, but I don't know whether it might be time to potentially split up.
It's time. It's time.
Yeah, it might be time to split up Griffin and Pillman as well. Just see what they do. Obviously, it's an interesting one. This obviously, when we had Griff on the show, he was saying that he had a former tag team with Marcus Cross, didn't he, as a master and machine. Now he's not all elite, but he's rocking up quite frequently at the minute. Marcus Cross is. So
he is. And to be fair, he did say, didn't he, that because I think Marcus was injured at the time we spoke to Griff, and he did say that he'll make his way to all elite, like.
Yeah.
Like you say, not necessarily all elite just yet, but he's there.
He is there. He's around. So
I could see them wanting to push, and this is no disrespect to Griff. I think Griff, honestly, I mean no, I don't mean any disrespect to him. I'm bigger on Griff than I am on Pillman, if I'm honest with you. Yeah. But I think their interest in pushing Pillman's probably greater at the moment. So I could see them wanting to push Pillman in a solo sense, and I wouldn't mind during that time if they were like, well, Griff can reform that tag team, because I've not seen that tag team, because obviously they've done it on the indies. So I'd quite like to see them tag again in AEW. So,
yeah, me too. But yeah, so pretty decent buy-in, I would say. This felt like quite a decent high caliber match to stick on there, and we also got obviously Don Callis made his return, which was a bit of a surprise. So Kenny Omega's music played during the buy-in. So everyone was like, what? But obviously it was Don Callis who came out and, effectively didn't say a lot, but just generated a bit of heat and then went back off into the sunset somewhere. So who knows what this means?
Did you say he left an impact?
But yeah, so all in all, from a buy-in perspective, it was all right. 3 matches on there as well, so enough kind of variety to hopefully get some people intrigued to potentially get them to buy the pay-per-view. So, yeah, made sense. Now, moving swiftly into the pay-per-view then. So the opening match was Eddie Kingston taking on Chris Jericho. This was a hell of a match, I thoroughly enjoyed this. I think this was maybe Eddie Kingston's best match so far. I love how he just came out straight out the gate. He meant business, was taking the fight to Jericho. I love all the different near falls between the two of them as well, and yeah, it was violent, it was gritty. It kind of told a story because it was all about Chris Jericho didn't respect him, and if he beat him, then he might earn his respect. And the finish was a little bit hokey from Jericho, so it was an exposed turnbuckle. He went for the Judas, he had him beat basically, but he was like, no, I want to finish it with the Judas effect. He went to do it, and he missed, and then kind of hit his elbow on the turnbuckle, and then got 2 spinning back fists to the face, courtesy of Eddie Kingston. And so Eddie Kingston then made him submit, but I'm not a big fan of that submission move. It looks hokey as fuck.
I'm glad Eddie got the win, though.
Yeah, me too.
I think that's the right decision there.
It was. I think Eddie... It's funny because it's true. You know what I mean? Like, Jericho always says that he always comes up short in these big matches, and he does. Like, he always gets there, but ends up losing them. So he needed to win one, and I'm glad that Jericho put him over. But essentially, after the match, he didn't shake Kingston's hand, so he still hadn't earned his respect, it seems. So I don't know what that means. Whether it's whether we're done.
Revisit then.
We're going to revisit. Like, who knows? But solid opening match, and fair play to Kingston getting the win, and fair play to Jericho for putting him over. So. Great start to the show. Speaking of good shots, yes, big shots, good shots.
Great shots.
Speaking of good starts, we then moved on to the tag team triple threat. Shut
What
up,
did you think of this one, Carl?
I don't know. It's a bit runny. No, I enjoyed it. I think any match that has got the Young Bucks in tends to be quite good. Like you can say what you want about the Young Bucks. They're very polarizing, aren't they? You either love them or you hate them, but you can't argue that they really do put on quite enjoyable matches. And again, Jungle Boy, man, he stands out, and Luchasaurus as well to a degree. But like when you look at the big spots that happened throughout this match, Jungle Boy was involved in the majority of them. There was just some super sick ones. There was a really cool tag team move that they pulled out with like a shooting star, like over the knee type thing, which was pretty epic. But the one that was just amazing was Jungle Boy did like a Frankensteiner off the top rope, but then landed behind the other Jackson to then turn it into a German suplex, and it was just like crazy shit. I think a lot of the time, certain things like Canadian destroyers and stuff, they're just overused. And I think there was about 5 or 6 of them in this match, so it was a bit like. I think that's a lot of the reason why people don't necessarily like Young Bucks matches, but no, I thoroughly enjoyed it. Still not a big fan of reDragon, where?
I mean, there's only one D, so reDragon, yeah.
Yeah, just don't get that. Maybe
so reDragon.
I've got my red rags on. So yeah, still not a huge fan of them, but is what it is. But I'm glad they didn't win. I was somewhat surprised actually that Jurassic Express retained. So this is one of the ones I got wrong. Was it the only one? No. It's one of the 2 that I got wrong, I think. In the predictions, I thought that they were going to be transitional champions. Didn't expect them to be holding it after the pay-per-view. So
I actually can't remember what my guess was, but I'm kind of glad Jurassic Express kept.
So I think because I successfully predicted that it would be the Young Bucks that earned the final spot, you said, Young Bucks are going to win it. So I had reDragon, you had Young Bucks, and it turns out we were both fucking wrong because they retained.
That's why I'm not even on the board.
But awesome match it was. We then moved into the Face of the Revolution ladder match. And again, thoroughly enjoyed, in my opinion. I like the fact that you essentially had 3 really big guys and 3 kind of, guys on the smaller side, and it led for some quite contrasting styles and some interesting spots that you wouldn't normally get. So
and shenanigans, because Cassidy was there.
Oh, of course. I mean, to be fair to OC, he had a fantastic one where he managed to, get some guys to go into Keith Lee instead of him, and then he climbed them all and nearly, managed to.
You know what? I don't mind that. Like, I don't know how you feel about this, but I don't mind that kind of stuff. Like that's his shtick, and that worked really well, and it made sense that he's playing the big guys off against each other. It was the inevitable Danhausen and bits like that done me head in.
Done your head in. I don't mind it. I quite like Danhausen. I've never ever seen the guy wrestle, but he's over. So
I don't mind him or even their friendship. It's the fact that the minute Orange Cassidy's involved in something, you know that it's going to end up with a Danhausen shenanigan.
Yeah, true.
Sometimes you just want a straight match,
Yeah. I liked actually the way to take Hobbs and Keith Lee out of the match was to, have them basically throw them both off the stage. So Wardlow obviously knocks them both off, and that kind of gives him free reign then, essentially. So I like the fact that was how they were kept out of the kind of thing. It would have been more annoying, I think, to a lot of fans if it was like Wardlow and Keith Lee climbing that ladder, and then Keith Lee misses out kind of thing. So it was good that they were taken out, and it was very much a Ricky Starks hell of a bump that guy took, by the way, onto the ladder. Jeez. But yeah, I was made up. Wardlow won it. He was the right choice, and
you know what? I think so. Like, part of me kind of wanted Keith Lee to come in red hot enough to win it, but at the same time, Wardlow has paid his fucking dues, and I think it just makes sense, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, and he's red hot now as well. Like, all the fans are proper behind him. It's we're all wanting and waiting for that moment that he turns on MJF, and well, we might have seen that at this pay-per-view. So yeah, he's definitely the right man, and I can't wait to see what happens now, especially with yesterday's developments on Dynamite, which we'll obviously talk to you about next week, because I'm now less confident that he'll win the TNT title. Let's put it that way. But yeah, thoroughly enjoyed it. I still hate the whole concept of them grabbing a stupid fucking Sonic ring. Does me head in. I'm surprised that hasn't been addressed.
I wonder if maybe the ring was just a little less stupid looking. Like, I don't know. Part of me thinks it might be because it's a big brass ring, but it's like, it looks kind of stupid, doesn't it? Could they do a brass ring that doesn't look as stupid? Would that work? I don't even know.
Yeah, I mean, it's a hard one, isn't it? Because like, what do you hang up there for them to grab? Essentially, they're getting a title match. So, well, yeah, it's like, well, that's been done. So yeah, you can't just hang a piece of paper up there. It doesn't look the best, does it? So.
No, you can't.
I like that idea the best. But he's just got a crippling fear of heights, so he's just screaming all the way through the match.
Like, you get him down off the, like, he's on like a hook or something. You get him down off the hook.
What's Hook doing up there?
Holding up Tony Khan. It all makes sense. Everyone's involved. Well, and then he's like, "Okay, you've released me. You get a match," like some sort of leprechaun, you know.
Okay, I like it. Tony Khan is Hornswoggle. Brilliant. Why aren't we bookers again? So yeah, thoroughly enjoyed. We then moved on to the TBS Championship. Jade Cargill taking on Ty Conti.
Jade having issues with consent in this match.
Well, yeah, it's certainly certainly started off with a bang.
Very spicy start, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Very spicy. So Jade kisses Ty to start the match off, and it's a bit like, okay. The match itself, I thought was...
Game, I suppose.
Yeah, the match itself I thought was fine. It certainly wasn't one of the best matches of the night. I think they did a good job, the pair of them, but there was certain bits where the chemistry felt a little bit off for me when I was watching it. But that being said...
I agree with you there, yeah.
That being said, I say this every time we get one of these matches, it's just, I think the TBS title is so good for the women's division because it just gives so many more opportunities for people to actually, have meaningful feuds and things happen. So, if you think about it, if this title didn't exist, we would have just had the one women's title match and we might have had, a blood feud type thing. But the fact that you've got another title match on the show is great for the women's division.
No, I totally agree. Plus, why can't they have a mid-card?
Exactly. Well, it's not, it's not a mid-card title, as Tony says.
That's normally my line.
Exactly. Roles reversed. But yeah, Jade retains. I think we all knew that was going to be the case.
That needed to be the case. I would have been very disappointed if it had moved that quickly, to be honest.
Yeah. I can't wait to see who will dethrone her, because that's going to be like a big moment for someone when it happens. So
definitely, yeah.
Looking forward to that. The next match... what a match this was.
Jamie hated Ugly Throne, I'm telling you.
Yeah, it's not a bad shout, to be fair. So the next match, the highly anticipated dog collar match. So I was thrown off a little bit at the start of this because obviously CM Punk's music plays, turns out to be MJF, and we're like, ha ha ha. But then another song plays, but then it turns out to be CM Punk, and it's not his song because it's one that he used in Ring of Honor. So I was a bit like, what the fuck's going on?
Gear as well, I believe.
Yeah, so obviously lovely throwbacks there. Obviously, he seemed quite emotional in the post-match press conference thing that they do. So yeah, obviously meant a lot to him to kind of have this match and also to look back at his career with Ring of Honor. But the match itself was.
Apparently, am I right in saying he said this was a love letter to Roddy Piper as well?
Yeah, so obviously the first dog collar match was Piper versus Valentine from a while ago, and obviously Piper,
statistician there from a while ago.
I think it was like
a resident wrestling historian, and you're like,
shut your face. Ago. I think it was like 85 or something. We'll say 85. But yeah, obviously Roddy Piper had such a influence on both Punk and MJF, so the pair of them really wanted to do Roddy a solid in this match, and I think the pair of them massively delivered as well. My God, can CM Punk do a good blade job? Jesus, he was gushing blood everywhere. It was ridiculous. Unbelievable.
1983, the first dog collar match, Carl.
Oh, sorry, I was off by 2 years. Come on, close enough. I felt like it was older as well, but anyway. Yeah, man. The AEW camera team could do a bit of a better job not blatantly showing the point when he, slices his head off, but, that's cool.
Could have, yeah.
At least when MJF did it, he was under the ring essentially. So that was out of shot, but still.
This reminds me so much as well. Like, I don't know how you feel about this, Carl, but I didn't really follow Punk's career before WWE.
Mm-hmm.
And when he joined WWE, I didn't want to follow his career, as you well know.
Yeah.
Because I didn't like him back then. But this kind of match and this nods to his Ring of Honor days and stuff, it just shows me that, like, I only ever really knew PC Punk.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'd never thought I'd see him it's only now that we know that he can do a good blade job, or that he's willing to do these sort of matches and stuff. Like, you never saw any shit like this in WWE. And I'm not knocking WWE. It's a totally different product. It still almost throws me off when you see Punk involved and stuff like this, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, with the news, Tony Khan's bought the Ring of Honor library. I'm sure we'll see all that stuff and be able to relive it all on the AEW network.
No, HBO, isn't it?
$5.99.
Helping? Who's coming? Like,
I don't know.
In talks with somebody, aren't they?
I think they are speaking with HBO, but we'll see. Well, obviously, as well as the gore, as well as the violence, obviously thumbtacks were involved. A lot of, just MJF just being a great heel. Just even getting the mic and talking to him throughout and stuff like that. I enjoyed all that. But one of the big moments towards the end of this match is obviously Wardlow. Wardlow makes his way to the ring. MJF wants the diamond ring, and Wardlow's like, "Oh man, I must have forgot it." To which CM Punk uses that time and that distraction to hit the GTS. Meanwhile, Wardlow's like, "Oh, actually, it's in my pocket." Oops. Leaves it on the mat for CM Punk and effectively completes a bit of a turn on MJF.
That look between the two of them, that was a definite turn.
Oh yeah, and obviously the fans absolutely erupted. Wardlow becomes a massive babyface, and MJF takes it's a clean loss. Like, it might have been, a dynamite ring to the head, but still. So MJF gets his first legitimate loss.
In all fairness, that's how he beat Punk previously, so it's poetic in a way.
Exactly. So yeah, I loved it. Just from a storytelling standpoint, it all made sense. They definitely put all their efforts into it, and yeah, it definitely delivered. So thoroughly enjoyed all round. We then, I want
to talk about this next one.
Well, the result didn't help, but also it's a very hard match to follow, isn't it? That
it is.
You've just had a dog collar match, and then it's like, okay, now we're going to put the women's title on the line.
I'm hearing as well that this result was changed a couple of times. You don't hear this often about AEW. Mm-hmm. This result was changed a couple of times. So it seems they were a bit unsure about what to do with this, and I was all for. Sorry for those who don't know yet, because I haven't actually let Carl say. Britt Baker versus Thunder Rosa was the next one.
It was indeed.
I was wanting Thunder. I was thinking it was Thunder. I'm disappointed that it wasn't Thunder, if I'm honest. Not knocking the match. It was still a solid match, but
yeah, this felt like it could have been the perfect time to do it. I think we love Britt. We think she's fantastic. She's done such a good job. But maybe it's starting to get a little bit stale now. The fact that she is just the champ, and
I've heard. I don't know how true it is that they want it to be. I think I can't remember when it is, but Dynamite's going to be in Thunder Rosa's hometown soon enough.
Yeah,
in San Antonio.
Yeah,
and I've heard that they're going to do a rematch of some sort then, and that's
so I believe
town win.
I believe the plan is, so obviously they're going to San Antonio, and I think they're doing a steel cage.
Nice.
So you'd have to assume that's the reason that it went back and forth, because you would imagine Thunder is going to win it, and she's going to win it in her hometown.
Thunder needed to win it, and if they've delayed it, I'm fine with that. If this is like they can't just end it here. Thunder needs to be the one who dethrones Britt. That to me is just that's the culmination to that story.
Absolutely, and I think as well, one thing I want to point out: how sexy is the new title? Have you seen the new women's title, man? It is a thing of beauty. I think it's definitely it's definitely warranted because obviously the first title was tiny, wasn't it? And it didn't look so bad when it was on Rio, but then when Britt Baker won it, it looked very small. And then when the TBS title got introduced, it looked almost like, well, why would I want to win the world title when it's tiny? I'd want the TBS.
Yeah. Sometimes size matters, yeah.
Well, exactly. So they made it a bit bigger, but it still wasn't as good. And now they've, oh my god, the new title.
It's so much nicer.
It's beautiful.
Like, whoever's doing their title designs is just doing their fucking job well, because there's something about the way they design titles that they look just so, for lack of a better way to put it, they're just so regal. They look like something you'd want to own. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
They look prestigious as fuck already.
They do. They definitely do. And it goes to show, doesn't it, that you can have, in the modern era, titles that have still got the company's logo on it, but that isn't all the title is about. It actually looks prestigious and something you'd want to win, not just like, here's a fucking Diamond TW on a black leather strap that's got no gold on it. Cool. Like...
But, like, look at, like, people love the big gold, right? Classic belt. Doesn't really show any logos very well, because obviously it was in WCW for a long time, but it wasn't originally WCW title either, Anyway, big gold, iconic, classic looking, very similar in terms of, like, when I say, probably not the best phrasing, but like a very regal looking, like, prestigious thing you'd want to own. And I feel like, I think you've hit the nail on the head. If you look at the main AEW title, the main one, that's probably not the right way of wording it either. Look at the men's AEW title, right? Where, like you say, the logo, really speaking, is there, and it's fairly big. You can see AEW wrote on it, but it's still got those elements to it that kind of remind me of the big gold, where it looks classy. You know what I mean? And
yeah.
I don't know. Just whoever's designing their titles is doing a fucking brilliant job, and I totally agree. The new women's title, so much better.
Absolutely. So yeah, it's a shame in terms of the results, but I do firmly believe that they've done this to give it to Thunder in a hometown, essentially. So I do think Thunder's going to win it next. I don't know what this is going to mean for Britt. I feel like there's got to be something down the line with Jamie Hayter or something like that as well. But
why does Jamie Hayter?
Well, I don't know, but I don't want Britt to Baker. That's what I'm saying. It's taking it too far. So Britt Baker retains. I think we both got that wrong. We thought Thunder was going to win here, but as you said, all will be forgiven if they do put it on her in the San Antonio show.
Thunder needs a belt. Thunder needs a belt.
She does. So the next match, again, what a hell of a banger. This was so good, this match. It was probably my match of the night.
In all fairness, these two really fucking work. Like, I think we've both said in the last few weeks leading up to this, I don't think we can remember a match between the two of them, but we should.
Yeah, and even if they have fought before, I guarantee it wasn't anything like this, because this was just brutal.
We won't be forgetting this match. This is fucking classic match between the two of them. Brilliant.
We talk about pro wrestling, and obviously people are like, it's fake, and this, and this, and obviously they're not really kicking the shit out of each other in there. But my God, they were working stiff in this match. Like, every shot they threw.
Danielson's little short showed you that,
eh? Yeah. Little D-Bry was being smuggled
both there. Just like, I fucking love wrestling. Calm down, lads.
Do us a favour, Daniel. Put your Bella Twins away. Kid. But yeah, it's they were working seriously, like, stiff in this match. It was ridiculous. Proper going in after each other, and it was awesome. The finish, it made sense. Like, I knew that it couldn't just be Moxley's going to beat him and is down and out for the count. I knew it had to be some kind of technicality or something like that, and so I'm not disappointed in the finish in that sense, but I think the execution of it could have been done a little bit better, because it was a bit like, well, are his shoulders even down there and stuff like that. So, but that can be my only minor gripe. But Anthony, I think we talked at the start of this about being surprised and shocked with certain parts. How did you feel when you saw a certain little...
So fucking made up. Right, honest to God, I'm like, some part of me didn't want any shenanigans for this match, right? And part of me was a bit like, oh, fucking shenanigans, right? But fucking Regal turning up.
I mean, to be fair though, as well, like it was after the match as well. So, for anyone who hasn't seen it, which again, go and watch it. Don't listen to us. But essentially, the match finishes, and it's not over in their eyes, and they're still brawling, and everyone comes down, tries to separate them, and who's the one man that can make it happen? William fucking Regal. Obviously, he goes way back with the pair of them.
I love how intimidating people found him. The respect they put on that man was fucking brilliant.
Well, that's it. He came
Referees and everything scrambling just because he'd entered the fucking ring. I fucking loved it.
That's it. He came in. He didn't really have to say a word. He just got in there. He just pushed Moxley off, gave him a slap in the chops. And then he was like, okay. And then Danielson's like made up with himself, like, haha, you just got slapped. Then he slaps the shit out of Danielson, and Danielson looks like he's about to cry. And then he's like, shake hands, and then we're going to sort this place out. It was perfect, wasn't it? It was,
honest to God,
the most Regal way to enter ever.
I think we've both made it clear that we fucking love Regal, right?
Oh, yeah.
And we were baffled and devastated when he left WWE. And he was... just because he's a fucking... as well as being a badass and being a legit tough bastard as well, right? He is just a very gentlemanly fella, isn't he? In the sense, like, he is still, to this day, not talked any shit about WWE, as it should be. Professional, right? Commended them and thanked them for the time he had there. But still, we're here as fans, like, why would you let that man go? Like, the experience and wealth of knowledge he's got, he's a fucking asset. And I am so, so, so glad that AEW have picked him up. I have not a bad word said about it. I've seen people on social media like, oh, yeah, picking up all ex-AEW and all this crap. And trying to jump on that like Regal doesn't offer something like, now, fuck you guys. Regal, everyone should try and buy Regal if Regal's available.
1,000,000%. He, the thing is, though, what makes him so good, like, such a great acquisition for them is... not only is he going to add so much, on screen in whatever capacity, whether he's the manager of Moxley and Danielson, but behind the scenes, like he is literally responsible for the careers of so many people, which is why the kind of support, like the outpouring of support from people in WWE when he was let go, that kind of told you everything you needed to know. So they're in such good hands, not only from like a psychology standpoint and from a promo standpoint and everything, but just from like a actual finding talent and nurturing them and developing them.
Honestly, God, he's an absolute legend when it comes to spotting talent. Like you say, I was shocked the amount of people who sort of almost credited their career to him. And it's like, God damn, how many people did he find?
Well, exactly. I mean, to be fair, AEW now are really getting together a good team of people who can find some of the best talent going. Like JR's there, he's former head of talent relations, signed everybody. Mark Henry's had a good fair share of people that he's got on WWE's radar, and now obviously you've got William Regal there as well. So
it's insane, isn't it? People are looking at like, oh yeah, you signed like Keith Lee, and that's no disrespect to Keith Lee, I think it was an awesome signing, but like people are looking at those sort of things. It's like, no, look at the behind the scenes shit they've got now, like you say. It's nothing but like a good roster of people who can really help. Assuming Tony doesn't go fucking full madman, it's like, I'm doing it all. Got such a team around him to offer that sort of wisdom.
I do worry that Tony Khan is full on Daenerys Targaryen. Like he is just gonna fully turn into the mad queen at one point.
Just burn it all down.
Yeah. Just to spite himself. But no, kid. I think great match. Amazing signing for Regal, and how much more exciting is it now to, off the back of this match, to wonder where it's going to go now that Regal's also at the helm of these two. Like,
what a faction!
Hell of a faction.
Because they were hinting at bringing sorting out bringing up some younger talent, weren't they? That's what Danielson was sort of suggesting to Mox. But now they've got Regal there as well, so they're like starting this fucking this faction of pedigrees and just looking for the next guy. That's fucking awesome. It's just going to be, anyone who joins there is going to be viewed as an immediate badass, isn't he? Because I'm honestly at this point, I'm going to buy a Regal t-shirt. I think he deserves it.
Yeah, me too. He's a fucking legend. So
plus his t-shirts are fucking awesome.
Yeah, that is true. So love this match, and then obviously the penultimate match. Did I say that right? Does that mean the one before the last one? I think it is.
Indeed.
See, just trying to sound fancy with me big words. I ain't got a clue really. But we had the Tornado Trios match. Matt Hardy, Andrade, and Isaiah Cassidy take it on Sammy Guevara, Darby Allin, and Sting, and it was okay. It wasn't. I don't know whether it was the place on the card or what. Obviously, Sting had some really good spots in there again, like he always does, and he always amazes me what he's willing to put himself through, especially at his age mostly. Now. Well, yeah.
I'm trying not to say too much about this match, Carl, because I think you'll just like come at me and say I don't like Darby Allin or something, which is such a lie. Like, I have nothing against Darby Allin. I have nothing but respect for the man now, right? But
we know why that is. It's nothing to do with his in-ring work, by the way.
It's to do with his career. But I think this was just way too predictable. That was sort of the problem I had with this. I had no doubt who was going to win this.
Yeah, it didn't make any sense for AHFO to win at all, did it? So it was one of those. I think it didn't help the placing on it on the card, because it was. I get it that you probably needed a come down match after obviously all the amazing events that transpired before it, but I don't know. It just did feel a bit like, oh, okay, now we've got to sit through this one, which isn't what you want to be feeling when you look at the actual talent that was in there. Do you know what I mean? So I'm going to put it down to more the actual placing of it than anything else, but it was fine for what it was, I think. And ultimately, Sting looked really cool. Just hell of a dude, that guy. So
yeah. Well, it's one of them. It wasn't a bad match, really, but I don't know. Like, I get what you're saying. Placement might have been an issue as well, but it's just something wasn't like. I don't think this is going to really stick in me memories. You know what I mean?
No, agreed. Unfortunately, but we then go to the final match of the night. We had the AEW World Championship on the line. Hangman Adam Page defending against Adam Cole. Battle of the Adams.
The man who puts the D. You're not going to do it. Fine.
Sorry, go on. The man who puts the D in D. I
gotta try and make that a thing. Well, I won't try and make that a thing because probably not very PC or whatever. I don't know.
Well, we know he's all about the boom anyway, so it's cool.
But Battle of the Adams. I'll be honest, Carl. This was another one that I could sit here and go, predictable. But it was a really good match.
Yeah,
I don't think either of us, again, were in doubt who was going to win this, but it was still a really good match.
Do you know what I'm so surprised about? So, obviously, we do our prediction series. This was a lot closer than I gave it credit for, but I also saw a lot of noise of people seemingly just not digging Hangman as champ, and being kind of like, oh, yeah, we need to move on to someone else like Adam Cole or whatever. And I'm so surprised by that, to be fair.
Disappointed by that? I don't want Adam Cole to be champ.
Yeah, I don't get it. I think Hangman's had like the longest story running in the whole thing, and he's proper endeared himself to fans. Maybe it's just because he's a babyface and people like heel champions. I don't know, but
maybe, yeah.
Yeah, just surprised because he's definitely put the work in. He has bangers, matches, and I think to be fair to these two, it's not bangers and matches, it's bangers and matches. If you think about it, to follow the likes of, Moxley and Danielson and Punk and MJF and matches like that, it's kind of, it was a tall order for these. I know a lot of people were kind of saying, oh no, it needs to be Punk and MJF that goes on last and stuff like that. I think they made the right choice. At the end of the day, it's the World Championship. That's the most important prize in the company. When you start doing stuff like, what Vince did back in the day by putting Hogan on last, even though he wasn't the champ and stuff like that, you start to have people becoming bigger than the main prize of your company. So I think it was the right choice. And whatever you think about Adam Cole, whether he's ready.
It almost goes to that classic thing that Punk mentioned, wasn't it, about the main event?
Yeah.
And I think even he'd agree he shouldn't have been the main event here. But I'm very surprised about the Hangman thing. Because there's so many matches I want to see. I potentially would happily see Punk fighting for the title again without without him losing to Punk. I want to see MJF get his title shot against Hangman. I think they both could. Obviously, you wouldn't do one after the other. That's a bit on the nose, but they both could be very good stories told either way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think Hangman may be a victim of he hasn't had I'm not bashing Adam Cole at all when I say this, but let's look at the opponents Hangman's had so far. It doesn't they're not really sort of. I think he needs someone big. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's not. I'm not knocking Adam Cole, but maybe even going up against Jericho again or something like that. Do you know what I mean? Just to really solidify him. I feel like he needs something to solidify him as legit.
Yeah, it's a fair point, to be fair, actually, because it's no offense to the likes of Archer either, but essentially he's fought Lance Archer, who's been away for ages and come back, and was never really the top guy, and then he's fought Adam Cole, who is a top guy, of course, but hasn't been represented in that way yet in AEW.
That's the thing. He's a new guy. He was a top guy somewhere else, but he's a new guy. It's
like if you can give Hangman a win over someone like Moxley, who's a former champ. I mean, to be fair to the guy, he had the win over Danielson, so that was a huge huge name.
I think that was a story though, wasn't it? It was Danielson didn't respect him, and he sort of proved that he's someone to be respected. I don't think it was I don't think that was the thing that sort of solidifies him as a champ.
No.
I think we need. I honestly, I'm thinking Jericho or Mox would be a good shout for a match that gets people going. Okay, yeah, this guy, Mox obviously is busy. Jericho's not doing much. We can see that again. You don't seem keen.
Is he? Well, yeah, I saw some stuff that happened on Dynamite, so.
I mean, we've got a skinny Jericho now.
Exactly. Can't give too much away. I mean, that would be great to run back at some point, because obviously that was the original match, wasn't it, for the title, Jericho and Hangman. So
that's why I'm kind of harping on it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the storytelling's there, and it would obviously feel bigger if he can topple Jericho when he couldn't. He'd show progression in his abilities and his characters and stuff, wouldn't you? So, but yeah, I think to be fair to these two, to be the main event when people were kind of like, oh, you shouldn't be, and all that kind of stuff, they delivered, I think, and it was a worthwhile main event. But I agree with your point too, is that no offense to Adam Cole, but ideally his next one should feel like a current main eventer in AEW, not someone brand new. Someone.
If the main criticism I have with AEW, I know people like to jump on whatever they can with AEW at times, and don't be wrong, I know AEW fans can be just as bad, but I see a lot more negativity going from the WWE side to the AEW side, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm on a different side of social media to everyone else, but everyone talks about AEW fans as being toxic, but WWE fans are just as bad. Mm-hmm. But I forgot what I was talking about.
The end. So yeah, no, I mean we've said all that needs to be said. Really, obviously Hangman retains, and let's see what is next. Who his next challenger will be. But we had 13 matches on the card, 3 on the buy-in. Was it 13 matches? I feel like it was 13 matches. Did we have 10 on the main show? I think we had about 13 matches. And obviously,
I'm up with 12 here.
Maybe 12. Was a 9 on the main show?
12 here, yeah.
Okay, so 3 on the pre-show. Well, not the pre-show, we can't say that. On the buy-in.
We don't have pre-shows.
9 on the main. So a lot of action. And I think most of it was really, really good. I thoroughly enjoyed this pay-per-view. I don't think it was... was it Full Gear levels? I'm not sure. I definitely think it was the best Revolution pay-per-view we've had. So if you think back to the previous one from last year, I think the main event was the exploding barbed wire death match.
Yeah.
So obviously that went out with a
unforgettable.
A sparkle. So I think it was definitely the best Revolution card that we've had. I don't think it was like the best pay-per-view that we've had, but it was definitely the most star-studded, which is expected the more and more people that they bring into the fold. So ratings-wise, Anthony, I don't know. I think I'm gonna have to go 4.5. I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it, to be honest. I don't think it was a 5. I think we might have give Full Gear a 5 last time because we thoroughly enjoyed it. So based on that, if we gave that a 5, I'm going to go 4.5. I could be totally wrong, and we didn't give it, and the scoring's out of whack. But yeah, 4.5 for me.
Okay. You know how rare it is I give a 5, so I don't want my score to be seen as negative compared to yours. But I'm probably going to go 3.5. You know.
Okay.
I feel like the only thing that it'd have been a 4 for me had it not have been quite a few matches where you knew what the result was going to be.
Yeah. I mean, you say that, but the prediction score didn't really reflect what you're saying there. I kid. No, I think you're right. So, some of them, especially like that Sting Darby one, as you said, it was like a foregone conclusion anyway. So it kind of felt like a bit of a what's the point in this match?
Yeah.
In terms of
the ones that I didn't predict, like I'm still a bit sore over the Thunder Rosa loss. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, no, it's understandable, but yeah. So I think between us, it averages about a 4 out of 5, which I think is fair play, isn't it? Fair. So another solid pay-per-view from AEW. I like the fact really that they've only got 4 a year, because this gives you that time to build them up. So I don't think it's that long till the next one, actually.
I think it also forces them to have big matches on the weekly show, which I don't think people fully appreciate yet. No. You know, because it's still all this battle for numbers and all this kind of bollocks. I think when you look at it though and you go, you know, every once in a while we're going to have a full-on decent title match on Dynamite, and you don't feel like they're doing it just for the sake of saying that they've done one. Like, they're legit, it could change hands. Like, look at Thunder. I'm fully expecting Thunder to win the title on Dynamite.
Yeah.
It's not a bad thing, and it shouldn't feel like a bad thing, but because we only get 4 pay-per-views a year, you can expect something wild like that.
Exactly.
For free.
Exactly. Which adds a lot more like unpredictability into it just on a weekly basis anyway, doesn't it? Because anything can happen. You know, you're not going, they won't pull the trigger then because they'll be waiting for the... Although saying that, WWE just changed 2 titles this week as well on TV, so...
Yeah, but...
Very rare occurrence, to be fair, but still.
You know. Real titles.
But, you know. So yeah, thanks for sticking with us this week. I know we're a bit later this week, but as you can hear from the main man Anthony right here, he's dying. So he's, fair play. Round of applause to him for pulling through so we can get a show out this week. But yeah, I think next week, I think we might have a WrestleMania. Yes, I think we're going to be doing WrestleMania Rewind next week. So we'll be talking about the match which wins our Instagram
I always like
tournament.
This because you guys essentially pick the one we review, which is good.
Yeah, I like that. Although some of the choices, guys, come on. I'm disappointed in some.
You're still salty about that, aren't you?
I am. It's cool. It's cool. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing which one wins. Looking forward to reviewing it. I love watching some of the classics. And obviously, there's a massive buzz around WrestleMania season, so that's what A2theK is all about. If you haven't already, make sure you go and enter our competition. The chance to win a WWE t-shirt of your choice. And, of course, we will be helping somebody win WrestleMania this year. So WrestleMania will be on us by joining in what we will reveal soon as Mania Memories will be the hashtag. So, yeah, we will catch you on the flip side. Until then, if you're watching this, make sure you listen to us on all the audio platforms where podcasts are available. If you're listening to this, come and check out our beautiful faces on YouTube. Are we on full HD? Well, I don't know. Maybe.
Probably.
I don't think we're 4K, but
we're okay.
Hey, they can't handle all that beauty. And so check us out on there. Check us out on all the socials. 18K on TikTok now. If you want to see face morphing videos, we're the place to be for that. Exactly. So, yeah, there you go. Lastly, we're obviously going to plug the upcoming wrestling convention for the Love of Wrestling coming to Liverpool this April. And so, as we bid you a farewell, we will play that advertisement for you now so you can find out what it's all about. And we'll see you next week.
Bye.
For Love of Wrestling, Europe's largest wrestling convention, returns to the Exhibition Centre in Liverpool on the 23rd and 24th of April. Guests this year include Diva of the Decade, Trish Stratus, the Wrestling God, JBL, the Dudley Boys, Torrie Wilson, and just announced MJF from AEW. We will also be doing a Wyatt family reunion as we welcome Erik Rowan, the man formerly known as Braun Strowman, and indeed the Fiend Bray Wyatt. Also just announced is the man, the legend, the icon, Sting. And of course, your Olympic gold medalist, Kurt Angle. This and many, many, many more guests, as well as prop builds, Q&As with all of the wrestlers, and some of the biggest wrestling collections in the world on display from our exhibitors. Get your tickets at forloveofwrestling.co.uk or search Facebook or Twitter for the Love of Wrestling. For the Love of Wrestling, Europe's biggest wrestling convention, returns to Liverpool the 23rd and the 24th of...
This is Griff Garrison, and you're listening to A2theK.
A2theK. A2theK.
A2theK.